Good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. Make sure you click the link in the description box to get your green gear. And before I get started, I must give a big shout out, big up, to my man, Officer Hickey in the Minneapolis Police Department. Me and this young man, we actually went to high school together. How he ended up in Minnesota, oh, bummer. He'll have to tell me one day, but I'm glad he did. A good guy. I'm sure he's an even better officer. Shout out to all the other guys and gals in the department. Please be safe out there, and please know that the overwhelming majority of people in your city and others support the police. Have no problem with the police. Want the police. Anybody who says they don't want more police presence is probably doing some illegal shit. I like to see the police in my neighborhood. I like when they wave at my kids and hand out stickers and hand sanitizer. I have no problem with them. If I do have a problem, I want them to come help me with it. Because it takes a special person to run toward the screams. It's never good. It's always bad. Nobody ever calls and says, hey officers, I need somebody to check out my tits. Can you send a couple cars over? No, it's never that. It's screaming, he's over there, he has a gun, she's gonna kill me, he's drowning, some shit like that. Thank you very much for what you do. Now, he hit me up on Instagram and he said that he was in the office the other day and he heard some officers standing around listening to a video, and then he heard the good damn morning Americans and he knew it was me. He said there's about 15 officers watching the video. I appreciate that. He said when he heard it, he was like, like one of the meerkats on the Serengeti. Huh? What? I know that voice. I know that guy. Thank you very much to you all. Another thing he told me is he said that they had some extra officers on hand preparing for riots. But how is that? How is that when they were supposed to be peaceful protests? Because I said in my video the other day, I read somewhere where it said in some city, some liberal ran cesspool, it said that officers were preparing for peaceful protests. Well, you don't have to prepare for a peaceful protest. Because if it's peaceful, it's a group of people walking by or standing in one place, probably some slogans to shout, got some signs, got some grievances, but property and other people don't get hurt. So what do you need the cops for? Exactly. It's bullshit. So thank you for what you do, guys and girls. I really appreciate it. Now, speaking of Minnesota, that's where George Floyd met his end. But originally, I guess he's from the 3rd Ward of Houston. So of course, what do? When one of these hoodlums get gunned down by the cops or something, they put up a mural. They put up a George Floyd mural, one of many across this country. But they put up a mural there, and I guess on Wednesday night or something, somebody decided to put on their Klan outfit, head on down there, and spray paint over George Floyd's face, "Niggers' lives don't matter." And I was like, is this a scene from Blazing Saddles or some shit? Now, one thing we need to think about is the number 67. Remember that number. We will get back to it. But apparently some racist white person who just could not contain their racism went down there and spray painted that shit over George Floyd's face on the mural. So, of course, this is the worst thing ever. So the Houston police chief, he gets down there and he starts talking about how Houston's not going to put up with this. The 3rd Ward's not going to put up with this. And he said, in Houston, we stick together. Well, guess what I know? If you have to say you stick together, that means you don't stick together. That means that's a lie. That's some bullshit. Because the 3rd Ward of Houston is one of the most dangerous places in this country. So how are you sticking together when you have such violence and such crime? Because crime and violence can't take root in a place where it's not nurtured. where it's not cultivated, where it's not allowed. When you have people who live in that neighborhood who have families and things that they need to protect and defend, they will do that. Crime and violence has no place there. Crime and violence only has a place when you give it one, when you give it refuge, when you allow that shit to happen, when you allow the shootings and the drugs and the lack of education and the dilapidated neighborhoods that look like, if you remove the street signs, you would think that's in Bangladesh somewhere. You think it was one of those places where they ask you to send 50 cents a day to keep this kid alive. Nope, America, right here. So how can you stick together when you allow that shit to happen? That's not sticking together. That's not watching out for your neighbor. That's not calling the police when you see crimes happening so they know that they can't do it there. They know they got to move on. If the block is hot, as they say, they got to move on. I'm at my mom's house right now in her neighborhood. There ain't a piece of trash. There's not a broken bottle. It don't smell like piss anywhere. There's no little makeshift, what's the word I'm looking for? Shrines, I guess. You know, when somebody gets shot, to put some teddy bears and flowers there, a little airbrush t-shirt. I don't see none of that shit here. I tell you what I do see. I see schools. I see children playing in the street, riding their bikes in the cul-de-sac. There were some kids down the street playing catch today. That's what happens when you stick together. That's what happens when you watch out for your neighborhood. But they don't do that in the third ward. That's why it's one of the most violent places in the country. So don't tell me you stick together. Now let's get back to that number 67. What that number means is that represents the percentage of black people that live in the third ward. 67% of the residents there are black. So you're telling me you're going to sit here with a straight look on your face and tell me that in a place where almost 70%, almost 7 out of 10 residents are black, this is where the racist white person decided to come over and spray paint the mural. Hold on, guys. No, it's not Juicy Smollett. No, it's not him. This is different. Is that what you're telling me? When did they do it? How are they gonna spray paint niggers' lives don't matter looking through those tiny little holes on their hood? How you do that? Now, if evidence comes out to the contrary, and they got this fool by the scruff of his neck, we got him, he did it, then I will make a video saying as much. But until then, I don't believe that some racist white person went down to the third ward and spray painted that shit on George Floyd's mural. I just don't. Now, violence, crime, drugs. When does most of that shit go down? At night. When did this happen? At night. Nobody was out there. Nobody saw shit. You know they've been combing through the security footage. All the businesses and people's houses. Nothing. Now, if they find out, and if they did, they probably wouldn't say shit. You know how the mainstream mediocres are. But if they find out that it was a black person who did this shit, who's trying to stoke those racial fires, because remember, that is all they have, is emotions. They will never loosen that grip on your heartstrings. Because that's it. Without that, they are nothing. They are gone. Their power is taken away. We've pulled back the curtain and we see who the real Wizard of Oz is. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Isn't that what he said? So they're trying their hardest to keep that curtain closed. But you know damn good and well, there is no fucking way this racist white person went down to the third ward to spray paint that word. Get the fuck out of here. 67% of those residents are black. Now, what do you think would have happened to that racist white person if a couple black guys might have saw him spray painting that shit? It would have been everywhere, and he probably would have had all of the shit kicked out of him. And you know what? If you're fucked up enough to go spray paint something like that, you probably deserve to have all of the shit kicked out of you. Get the fuck out of here. This is not the racist dystopia that you want. America is not the racist dystopia that you stroke yourself to sleep to every night. It's not. There are so few of these boogeymen that you have to create them. Now, you want racism? You want slavery? You want some Jim Crow type laws? It's out there. Go get it. It's called the rest of the world. Not here. Are you feminists? I am woman, hear me roar. All that shit. Slavery, slavery. Take your ass over to the Persian Gulf, to the Arab world. You'll have more slavery and misogyny than you can handle. Your cup will runneth over, I promise. But they're not serious. They don't want to do no real work. They don't want to roll those sleeves up and expose those muscle-free arms of theirs. Get the, man, you motherfuckers aren't serious. The only thing you're serious about is destroying this country and holding on to your power. That's it. Because if you were serious, you wouldn't be going after no bullshit like women's rights or racial inequality. Shut the fuck up, man. Anyway, let's end this on a happy note, shall we? So Tokyo, I guess where the next Olympic Games are supposed to take place, whether it's this year or next year, I don't know. Sweet and sour sniffles fucked it all up. But one thing is for sure. Tokyo is not having any kneeling, and they're not having any of these stupid ass fists in the air. It's a no-go. Tokyo said, no, we do not kneel here. And they said they don't want no racial protests, religious propaganda, racial propaganda, none of that shit. We're here for sports. And, of course, this next group's opinion will be trampled right over because it does not fit the narrative. But they polled some athletes, some Olympic athletes, and most of the athletes don't want any kind of protest either. You know why? Because they've worked their whole damn life to get here. They've sacrificed to get here. Hey, you want to go out for pizza? Nah, I got to go to the gym and work on the rings or whatever. Or I got to run track. Or I got to swim. I got a pole vault, ski, whatever. They were dedicated. They sacrificed. Now is their time to shine. The Olympics only come around every 4 years. They got a small window. Father Time is undefeated. They got to hurry up and get their gold medals while they can. Their diet, their exercise, their lives are for this moment right here. Their family and friends around the world are watching them on the world stage. You think they want somebody up there putting their stupid ass fists in the air or kneeling down so the cameras pan over to them and take away from their hard work, from their time in the limelight? You're up there, #1 gold medal, but the bronze medal's kneeling, so that's where the camera is. That's what the commentators are talking about. That's what the headlines are going to be. Not celebrating you for your extreme sacrifice that most people won't even think about doing. That's why we all watch. That's why we all watch, because we know we can't do that. We ain't running no 100-yard dash in 9.5. You're not going to have 8 medals around your neck like Michael Phelps. So we tune in to watch. We tune in to watch our country beat the shit out of the other ones. I don't want to hear about your fake ass protests. I don't want you putting your fist in the air. This ain't Mexico City 1968. Put your fucking hand down. Get your ass out there and play your sports. That's not why we're tuning in. We don't give a shit what you think. We have our own minds. We can find our own information. If we want to hear you talk about social issues, I'm sure you got an Instagram. I'm sure you got a Twitter. I'm sure you got a YouTube. We will find you there. But when the TV's going, dun, 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 we don't want to hear your shit. We want to tune in and watch our country win. But they don't give a shit about that. And don't be surprised if the gold medal winner does it anyway. just so they have their time to say, look at me. I am the ultimate virtue signaler. I have the power. Look at me, number one SJW in the world. I guarantee you somebody's going to do that shit. But the IOC, the Olympic or International Olympic Committee, they said that athletes will be reprimanded. And not only do they not want them up there, on the podium or whatever when they're getting their medals, they're talking about any official Olympic business. They don't want to hear that shit. Interviews after the race, before the race. If you're an Olympic athlete, there will be no protesting. There will be no propaganda, period. And I hope by reprimanding, they mean they will strip you of your medals and kick your ass out of the Olympics, because that's what you deserve. Tokyo says, hell no. I love it. Is it going to take the rest of the world to snap us out of this shit? Is it going to take the rest of the world to lead us to the exit from this fucking dark tunnel? I don't know. I hope not. But if so, let's do it. I'm not too proud to accept help. I'm not too proud to be shown the way out of this bullshit. You know who we are right now? We are Andy Dufresne. Who is that? He's the guy from Shawshank Redemption. And you remember that scene where he came out of the tunnel and he puts his hands up in the air and it's raining on him and he's free? That's going to be us. But you know where we are right now? We are inside the tunnel, crawling through 200 yards of raw human sewage before we get to the outside, before we can have that beautiful free rain on our face. I don't give a shit how we get there. I don't give a shit who gets us there as long as we get there. We have to get America back. This shit is crazy. That the Olympic Committee has to even come out and say that? Man, these people are nuttier than squirrel shit. But we'll see what happens. Let me get back in here with my beautiful wife and kids. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell, because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Get your Jericho Green notification tone link in the description box. Utilize the PayPal link and the Teespring link to get your green gear. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.